Anna stood before the mirror, carefully touching the yellowing bruise below her collarbone. 3 more days and it would disappear completely. Then she could wear the V-neck blouse her colleague had given her for her birthday. 3 years ago, Max himself picked out such things for her, proudly showing off his wife to friends. Now, any outfit that emphasized her figure triggered his fits of rage. "Where do you think you're going in that?" He'd scream if he saw anything other than baggy sweaters and pants. "To meet your lover? Or planning to shake your ass for everyone at work?" The clock showed 5:30 a.m. Anna quietly closed the bathroom door and went to the kitchen. She had an hour and a half to prepare breakfast, pack her husband's lunch, and make herself presentable before he woke. Max Morrison didn't tolerate waiting, especially in the morning when he was rushing to work. After all, as he loved to repeat, he wasn't just some warehouse worker, he was head of logistics at a major company. He had 15 people reporting to him. Can't be late. And breakfast had to be perfect. Anna turned on the coffee maker and took out eggs for an omelet. Her movements were precise, practiced, like those of a professional chef. 3 years of training hadn't been wasted. She knew the omelet couldn't be undersalted, that coffee needed to be poured exactly to the mark on the cup that only she could see. That toast had to be golden brown, not dark brown. Her hands worked while her thoughts drifted far away. She remembered how they'd met at a cafe where Anna had stopped after a job interview. Max had seemed so gallant, then paying for lunches, bringing flowers, arranging surprises. Her friends had been envious. "Anna, dear, when you make eggs, add extra salt," her mother-in-law Nina had instructed during her last visit 6 months ago. "My Maxie loves things well salted." Anna never argued with her mother-in-law, especially after Max had broken her finger following one such disagreement. "Mother knows best," he'd hissed through clenched teeth, twisting her arm. At 6:45, footsteps sounded. Max, fresh from the shower, entered the kitchen tall, fit in a white shirt with damp hair. To colleagues and friends, he was the picture of a successful man. At 32, already in a management position, beautiful wife, apartment in a new development. "Good morning," Anna smiled, plating the omelet. Max nodded, sat at the table, and sipped his coffee. So far, everything was going normally. Anna exhaled briefly. "What's this?" he suddenly asked, pointing to a tiny spot on his shirt cuff. Anna's heart sank. She hadn't noticed that stain when ironing clothes yesterday evening. "Sorry, I'll steam it out now." She reached for the shirt. "What the hell?" Max pushed back his chair sharply. "I'm leaving in 20 minutes. I have a meeting at 9. You understand I'm going to look like a bum in front of management?" "Max, I'm sorry. She didn't get to finish." His hand grabbed her hair and yanked down hard. "Are you stupid?" he hissed in her face. "How many times have I asked you to check the shirts? How many?" "Sorry." That's all Anna could squeeze out. He released her hair and grabbed the coffee mug from the table. "And the coffee's cold." As always. He threw the contents at her chest. The hot liquid burned through the thin fabric of her house t-shirt. Anna bit her lip to keep from screaming. Max silently went to the bedroom, returned 5 minutes later in a different shirt, took his wallet and keys. "Everything better be perfect by evening," he snapped before leaving. "And don't forget to clean the living room carpet. Noticed a stain yesterday." When the door slammed behind him, Anna slowly sank to the floor and broke down sobbing. Brown liquid ran down her shirt. Her skin burned. But the physical pain was nothing compared to the emotional. 3 months ago, Anna had secretly bought a second phone, a cheap old model she hid in a box of sanitary pads somewhere Max never looked. On this phone, she photographed bruises and recorded dates. February 7, punch to the stomach for insufficiently starched shirt. February 16, shoved into cabinet, bruise on shoulder blade for cold dinner. February 22, hit in the face, cheekbone didn't buy his favorite cheese. The list continued. Anna made these records without fully knowing why. Perhaps to keep from going insane. To remember that this was really happening. Max was a master at making her doubt her own perception. "What bruise? Are you delusional?" You ran into the door yourself yesterday, now you're blaming me? I haven't touched you. You're hysterical. Maybe I should take you to a psychiatrist? You provoked me yourself. Normal wives don't drive their husbands to this point. Sometimes, in rare moments of clarity after another beating, Max would sob in her lap, promise to change, give her flowers and jewelry, take her to restaurants where he'd tenderly hold her hand and pay compliments. And a week later, it would start all over again. "Anna dear, you look so pale," said Vera, the neighbor from across the hall. The elderly woman caught her by the elevator with grocery bags. "Come in for tea. I baked apple cake." Anna hesitated. Max didn't like her socializing with neighbors. "Just spreads gossip," he'd say. But there were 3 hours until his return, and her soul craved even minimal human contact. "Thank you, Vera. Just for half an hour." The cozy apartment smelled of apples and cinnamon. The old woman bustled around the table, pouring tea and setting out jars of jam. "How's your job? Still at the same company?" "Yes, still there," Anna answered quietly. She never told anyone that she didn't work as a simple office clerk, but as legal counsel at the headquarters of Vector Plus Corporation. Even Max didn't know this. He was convinced his wife worked as an ordinary secretary at some small firm. It was easier for her to maintain this fiction than explain why her salary was less than the real amount. She secretly saved the difference in a separate account. "And your husband? Still working late?" Vera asked, looking at Anna over her glasses. "Yes, lots of work," Anna automatically replied. "You know, dear." The old woman suddenly covered her hand with her wrinkled palm. "I hear everything. The walls are thin." Anna froze with her cup in hand. "Don't be afraid," the neighbor continued. "I won't tell anyone, but if you need help, knock any time. I was married twice. My first husband also liked to use his fists. I fled from him with 2 children." Anna's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she whispered. "But everything's fine, really. As you wish." Vera sighed. "Just remember, love never hurts." On the way home, Anna thought about those words. Did Max love her? Had she ever truly loved him? Or was it just an illusion created by his initial attention and care? The evening began calmly. Max came home in a good mood. He'd been praised at work for a successful project. Anna had prepared his favorite roast. The apartment gleamed with cleanliness. "How was your day?" she carefully asked, plating dinner. "Fine." He turned on the TV. "The director personally shook my hand. Said if things continue like this, I'll get promoted soon." "That's wonderful," Anna smiled. "I'm so happy for you." Max tasted the roast, and his face suddenly changed. "What's this crap you made?" he said through clenched teeth. "What's wrong?" Anna's heart began pounding. "Did you even add salt?" He grabbed the salt shaker and demonstratively dumped half of it into his plate. "How many times do I have to say I like things properly salted?" "I did add it," Anna said quietly. "Maybe not enough?" "Not enough," Max mimicked, jumping up from the table. "We've lived together 3 years and you still can't remember such a small thing?" He grabbed the plate and hurled it at the wall. Meat and vegetables flew across the wallpaper, shards littered the floor. "I'm sorry," Anna whispered, backing toward the door. "I'll clean everything up and make it again." "Stay put," Max barked, blocking her path. "Think I'm going to wait while you ruin more food?" His fist flew so fast Anna couldn't dodge. The blow landed right on her cheekbone. Her vision darkened. She staggered and fell to her knees. "Useless idiot." Max kicked her in the side, right in the ribs. "Can't do anything right." Anna curled into a ball on the floor, covering her head with her arms. But no more blows came. Max silently stepped over her and headed to the bathroom. 15 minutes later, she heard him get into bed and turn on the TV, as if nothing had happened. With trembling hands, Anna collected the shards and wiped the wall. Every movement sent pain through her ribs. Black spots swam before her eyes. In the bathroom, she examined her face. A huge bruise was forming on her cheekbone. Tomorrow it would be a purple mark that no powder could hide. And mother-in-law is coming the day after tomorrow, Anna thought with horror. She took out her secret phone and took several photos of her face and ribs, where bruising was already appearing. Then she recorded the date and reason. April 15. Oversalted soup. Hit to cheekbone. Hit to ribs. Looking at these lines, she suddenly understood clearly. If I don't leave now, I never will. One day, he would simply kill her over soup, a shirt, or tea. Anna lay down on the living room couch, pulling the blanket up to her chin. Pain throbbed in her cheekbone. Every breath echoed in her ribs. Outside, darkness slowly fell. For the first time in 3 years, she began seriously planning her escape. Morning arrived painfully and abruptly. Anna woke to a dull, aching pain in her ribs. She carefully touched her face. The skin on her cheekbone was swollen and burning. Turning her head, Anna saw that Max had already gotten up and was standing in the living room doorway, looking at her. "Mom's coming tomorrow," he said without preamble. "I hope you haven't forgotten." Anna struggled to sit up, trying not to wince from pain. "I remember, of course." Max came closer, carefully studying her face. The expression in his eyes was strange, not a shadow of remorse, only cold calculation. He took a new tube of concealer from his pocket and tossed it onto her lap. "Cover that up," he nodded at the bruise. "Bought it at the 24-hour pharmacy. The girl said it covers well. Mother shouldn't see this." A contemptuous smirk flickered in his voice, as if he were talking about some filth Anna had brought upon herself. She mechanically took the tube, her fingers trembling. "Is breakfast ready?" Max asked, as if yesterday evening hadn't happened. "I'll make it now." Anna slowly rose from the couch. "Hurry up, I have an important meeting." He went to the bathroom while Anna, limping, shuffled to the kitchen. Every movement echoed with pain in her ribs. She mechanically took out eggs, bread, turned on the coffee maker. Yesterday evening stood before her eyes, the plate flying at the wall, the fist hurtling at her face, her husband's complete indifference after the beating. And this morning scene with the concealer, so mundane, as if he'd just reminded her to buy milk. 20 minutes later, Max was already eating breakfast, scrolling through news on his phone. Anna stood by the stove, not knowing what to do next. "Sit," he suddenly commanded without looking up from the screen. "Eat something. Mother will definitely notice if you're pale and thin." Anna obediently sat across from him, putting a little scrambled eggs on her plate. The food wouldn't go down. She forced herself to chew, looking at her plate. Somewhere deep inside, a decision was forming, vague, not yet fully formed, but insistent. "I'll stop by the store after work," Max said, getting up from the table. "Buy something for Mother. She likes good cognac." Anna nodded. Max approached her from behind, and she involuntarily flinched, but he only stroked her hair, a gesture that once seemed tender, now only inspired fear. "See you tonight," he said, and leaned down to kiss the top of her head. "Clean up properly, and don't forget about the concealer." When the door closed behind him, Anna sat motionless for another 5 minutes, then slowly stood and went to the window. She watched as Max walked to his car, got behind the wheel, drove away. Earlier, she would have waited for a call from work with the standard question, "How are things?" and the mandatory report on what she was doing. But lately, he rarely called. He seemed to have lost interest in this ritual of control. Anna watched the car disappear around the corner and suddenly felt something inside snap, as if the last thread connecting her to this person had broken. She resolutely took out her second phone from its hiding place, scrolled through photos of bruises from recent months, a horrifying gallery of humiliation and pain. Then she found Vera's number and called. "Vera," she said quietly when the neighbor answered, "can I come over? I need help." "Good Lord, Anna," the old woman gasped, seeing her face. "What has he done to you?" Anna sat in her neighbor's kitchen, pressing a bag of ice to her ribs. Her whole body ached. "Last night," she said quietly. "Because of soup." Vera shook her head and placed a cup of strong tea with honey in front of her. "Drink, dear, and tell me what you've decided to do." Anna took a sip. The hot tea slid down her throat, warming her from within. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered. "I'm afraid he'll kill me." You're right to be afraid, Vera nodded. Men like him don't stop. First a slap, then a fist, then. She didn't finish, but Anna understood. I want to file a police report, she said decisively. I have photographs. Many, over several months. Smart girl. Vera squeezed her hand. That's right. And you need witnesses. I've heard him yelling at you. Heard you crying. I can give testimony. You'd really do that? Anna asked hopefully. Of course, dear. My first husband Vasily was the same, an animal, not a man. I endured 20 years until he beat me so badly I ended up in the hospital, while neighbors pretended nothing was happening. I don't want the same for you. Anna felt a lump rising in her throat. For 3 years, she'd lived in a nightmare, thinking no one cared about her suffering. And all this time, this kind woman had been nearby, ready to help. Thank you, she whispered, wiping away tears. Don't cry, Vera patted her hand. Tears won't help. Let's think about what to do. Over the next hour, they discussed the plan. Vera suggested recording her account of what she'd heard over the years on a voice recorder. Anna agreed it would be additional evidence. Then they decided Anna would go to the police today. But here's the thing, the old woman worried. When he finds out you filed a report, he'll go insane with rage. I'm not coming back home, Anna said firmly. Max is at work until evening, then he'll go to the store. I have time to pack and leave. Where will you go? I have a friend, Marina. We studied together. She's offered for me to stay with her if needed. Good, Vera nodded. But first, let's record my testimony. Anna took out her phone and turned on the voice recorder. The old woman spoke clearly and precisely, listing instances when she'd heard screams and sounds of blows from the apartment across the hall. She named dates she could remember, told how once she'd seen Anna limping and hiding in the elevator when other neighbors were coming up. I thought then, poor girl, how afraid she is that someone will see her bruises. Vera's voice trembled with suppressed emotion. But I didn't dare help. I was afraid I'd make it worse. Forgive me, Anna. You're not to blame, Anna said gently, stopping the recording. I should have found courage earlier. Why dwell on the past? Vera sighed. Let's think about the future. After the police, go straight to your friends. Yes. I'll take only the essentials from home and leave. Right. And don't tell him where you'll be. Don't communicate with him at all anymore. Men like him don't change. Anna nodded. She'd long understood Max wouldn't change. The flowers and gifts after beatings were just part of the vicious cycle of violence in which she'd lived all these years. Packing turned out harder than Anna expected. She looked at dresses in the closet, cosmetics on the vanity, books on shelves, and couldn't decide what she really needed to take. In the end, she folded only essentials into a small suitcase: documents, several sets of clothes, toothbrush, shampoo, and a little makeup. Before leaving, she looked around the apartment where she'd lived for 3 years, walls that had witnessed so many tears and suffering. The kitchen where she'd tried to please her husband with perfect meals, the bedroom where she'd feared every night. This apartment had never been home. It had been a prison. Anna resolutely closed the door and went down in the elevator. Before leaving the building, she stopped by Vera's to say goodbye. Here's my new number, she said, writing digits on a piece of paper. If Max asks about me, tell him you don't know anything. Of course, dear, Vera nodded. Take care of yourself and call if you need anything. They hugged, and Anna felt how in these few hours she'd grown attached to this woman, the only one who'd extended a helping hand. The police station greeted Anna with cold, fluorescent light and the smell of cheap air freshener. Behind the counter, a young sergeant on duty reluctantly looked up from his computer when she approached. How can I help you? He asked in a bored voice. I want to file a report, Anna said firmly, about domestic violence. Something in her tone, or perhaps the sight of her swollen cheekbone, made the sergeant look at her more attentively. Have a seat. He pointed to a chair by the wall. I'll call the duty officer. A few minutes later, she was invited into an office. Behind the desk sat a middle-aged man with a tired face and attentive eyes. His badge read, Captain James Sullivan. Hello, he said, indicating the chair across from him. Tell me what happened. Anna sat, placing her phone with the photos in front of her. "My name is Anna Morrison," she began. "For 3 years I've lived with a husband who," her voice trembled, but she controlled herself, "who regularly beats me." Captain Sullivan nodded. Showing neither surprise nor disbelief, he just listened. "Last night he punched me in the face, then in the ribs," Anna continued, "because of oversalted soup. And this isn't the first time. I've been collecting evidence." She unlocked her phone and handed it to the captain. He silently scrolled through the photos, swiping the screen with his finger. His expression remained impassive, but his jaw muscles tensed. "When were these photos taken?" he asked, returning the phone. "Everything's labeled," Anna explained. "Dates and reasons for the past 6 months." "Any witnesses?" "Yes." Anna took out the voice recorder. "My neighbor, Vera Thompson. She's heard my husband yelling at me and the sounds of blows. Here's her testimony." Captain Sullivan turned on the recording and listened attentively. Then he opened his desk drawer, took out a form, and placed it in front of her. "Write a statement," he said. "Describe the most recent incident in detail and indicate this happens regularly. We'll attach the photos and recording as evidence." Anna took the pen and began writing. Her hand trembled, but with each line it grew steadier, as if every word, every letter brought her closer to freedom. When she finished, Captain Sullivan carefully read the statement and nodded. "I'll process all the documents," he said. "Your husband faces administrative charges and criminal charges for repeated offenses. Where will you be staying now? It's dangerous to return home." "I'm going to stay with a friend," Anna answered. "I've already packed." "Good. Leave a contact number. We'll be in touch soon." When all formalities were completed, the captain walked her to the door. "You did the right thing coming to us," he said in parting. "Many women endure for years until it's too late." Anna nodded, feeling a strange relief, as if the enormous weight she'd carried for 3 years was beginning to lighten little by little. Marina met her with open arms. Seeing the bruise on her friend's face, she just shook her head and hugged Anna tighter. "Finally," she said quietly, "I was so afraid you'd never decide to leave." Marina's apartment was small but cozy. The couch in the living room where Anna would sleep was made with clean linens. On the table stood a vase of fruit and a bottle of wine. "I made your favorite salad," Marina said, helping her friend unpack, "and bought ice cream. Get settled, then we'll have dinner and talk." Dinner turned out unexpectedly warm. For the first time in a long while, Anna ate without fear of doing something wrong. She didn't worry about every crumb on the table or flinch at sudden sounds. After dinner, they sat with glasses of wine, and Anna told her everything she'd endured over these 3 years. How gradually Max had isolated her from friends and family, how he'd made her account for every dollar spent, how he'd manipulated and humiliated her, then showered her with gifts. "The worst part," she said quietly, "is I believed for so long that I was to blame, that if I were a better wife, he wouldn't get angry." "That's classic abuser tactics," Marina nodded. "Making the victim believe she provokes the violence. I read about it when I was trying to understand what was happening to you. Why didn't you tell me earlier?" "I tried, remember?" Marina smiled sadly. "But you always defended him, said I misunderstood everything, that you were happy." Anna sighed. She remembered those conversations and how afterward Max forbade her from seeing Marina, calling her friend a jealous, lonely loser who wanted to destroy their happiness. "Thank you for not turning away from me," Anna said quietly. "Despite everything." "We're friends," Marina simply replied. "Now let's sleep. Tomorrow will be a new day, the first day of your new life." The phone rang just as Anna was falling asleep. Max's number. She stared at the screen, feeling her heart pounding in her throat. 23 missed calls in the last hour, and dozens of messages. "Where are you? Answer immediately. I know you're reading these." Reply: "If you don't come home in an hour, I'm calling the police. Anna, I'm worried. Call me. I swear I'll find you and make you regret this." The last message had just arrived. Anna turned off the phone and placed it face down. Her hands trembled. That night she barely slept. She tossed on the couch, listening to every rustle outside. What if Max somehow found out where she was? What if he showed up, broke down the door? But gradually, exhaustion took over. Before dawn, Anna finally fell into a deep, dreamless sleep. In the morning, she was awakened by a call. It was Captain Sullivan. "Anna, good morning," he said in a businesslike tone. "I wanted to inform you that we've processed all documents, and your husband came to the station last night, demanding information about you." Anna went cold. Did you tell him where I am?" "Of course not." Surprise slipped into the captain's voice. "We didn't even confirm you'd contacted us. That's confidential information, but I wanted to warn you he's very aggressive. Be careful." "Thank you," Anna whispered. "I will be." After the call, she sat for a long time, hugging her knees. Max was looking for her, and judging by the tone of his messages, he was furious. What would happen when he found out about the report? The photos? Vera's recording? "He won't find me," Anna told herself firmly. "And if he does, I'll never be silent again. Never." As if in response to this thought, the phone rang again. This time it wasn't Max, it was Elena Mitchell, her direct supervisor from Vector Plus Corporation headquarters. "Anna, good morning," she said in her usual businesslike tone. "We have an urgent situation with a contract for the Meridian project. Could you come to the office by 1? Anna looked at the clock. It was 8 a.m. "Yes, of course," she answered. "I'll be there." After brief hesitation, she decided to go. Work had always been an escape for her, a place where she felt competent and respected. Besides, Max had never been to headquarters. Their divisions were in different parts of the city. She quickly made herself presentable, trying not to look at her swollen cheekbone. The concealer Max had bought actually did a decent job covering the bruise. Anna smiled bitterly at the irony. Her husband had thoughtfully ensured she could hide traces of his own violence. Before leaving, she hugged Marina tightly. "Be careful," her friend asked. "Don't tell anyone where you're staying." "I won't," Anna promised. "And thank you for everything." Vector Plus Corporation headquarters occupied 5 floors in a modern business center. Anna had worked here as legal counsel for 4 years longer than her marriage to Max had lasted. She loved her work, though lately Max had increasingly hinted she should focus on family and children. Elena Mitchell met her by the elevator, a tall woman with a short haircut and a piercing gaze. She was a company legend, having risen from junior lawyer to deputy general director for legal affairs. "Anna, thank you for coming so quickly," she said, shaking hands. "We have a problem with the Riverside branch. We need to urgently review a contract and make corrections." They went up to Elena's office. For the next 2 hours, Anna was completely immersed in work, forgetting everything else. It was salvation, an opportunity to focus on something concrete, to distract from personal problems. When they finished, Elena suggested lunch at the cafe on the first floor. At the table, she suddenly looked at Anna intently and said quietly, "You have a bruise under the concealer, quite severe." Anna froze with her fork midair. She'd thought she'd masked the mark from the blow well. "I fell," she said automatically. Elena looked at her without blinking. "You know, Anna, I was married to a man who also made me fall 10 years ago, so I know what bruises from falls look like." Anna lowered her eyes. What was the point of denying the obvious? "Last night," she said quietly, "because of Soup." "Did you go to the police?" "Yes, yesterday, and I left him." Elena nodded. "Right. I did the same when I realized the next fall might be the last. If you need legal help with divorce or anything else, just ask. I'll help." This unexpected moment of human support made Anna cry right there at the cafe table. Elena silently handed her a napkin and patiently waited for her to calm down. "I'm sorry," Anna wiped her eyes. "It's just been a difficult day, and yesterday too." "It's okay," Elena said gently. "The first days after leaving are always the hardest. Then it gets easier, believe me." They finished lunch, discussing work matters. As they parted, Elena shook her hand and said, "You're strong, Anna. Stronger than you think. See you tomorrow." With those words, she left. leaving Anna with a strange sense of lightness. As if the burden she'd carried all these years had become slightly less heavy, she exited the business center, breathing in the fresh spring air. Ahead lay a new life unknown, frightening but free from fear and humiliation, and she was ready for this path. The next 3 days, Anna lived in a strange, suspended state. In the mornings, she went to work, immersing herself in familiar legal documents, and evenings she returned to Marina's. Max continued calling and texting, sometimes with threats, sometimes with pleas, sometimes with promises to change. Once, he sent a photo of a huge bouquet of roses with a note, "Forgive me, I love you." Anna deleted the message without responding. On Thursday morning, Captain Sullivan called. "Anna, the documents for your case are processed," he reported. "Your husband received an official warning. For now, it's an administrative measure, but if there are new incidents, criminal charges will be filed." "How did he react?" Anna asked, feeling cold inside. "Let's say emotionally," the captain replied dryly. "My advice: be careful. Such individuals often become even more dangerous when they feel they're losing control." Anna thanked him and hung up. She understood Max wouldn't stop. She knew him too well. The police warning would only fuel his rage. Fortunately, an important meeting at the office that day distracted her from anxious thoughts. Elena had gathered the legal department to discuss a new strategy for working with regional branches. After the meeting, she kept Anna back. "Tomorrow there's an unscheduled inspection of the branch where your husband works," she said, closing the office door. "I thought you should participate." Anna froze. "But why? I don't want to see him." "You won't have to." Elena handed her a folder of documents. "We have information about violations in the logistics department. You'll only need to check documentation and prepare a legal opinion. All official, no personal contact." Anna leafed through the papers: security service reports, inventory records, financial documents. "I don't understand," she admitted honestly. "Is this some kind of internal investigation?" "Exactly," Elena nodded. "Which has been ongoing for a month. Your husband isn't the only problem at that branch. There's suspicion of systematic theft, and I want you to do your job, Anna, nothing more." As the company's legal counsel, Anna thought, the proposal frightened her, but simultaneously gave a strange sense of opportunity, a chance to see Max in a different setting, not as a victim, but as a professional. "All right," she finally said. "I'll go." "Excellent," Elena smiled. "The car will be waiting for you tomorrow at 9 a.m. The Vector Plus Corporation branch, where Max worked, was located in an industrial zone on the city outskirts. The 2-story building with adjacent warehouse facilities looked dreary against the gray April sky. Anna rode in the company car with Elena and 2 security service employees. Inside, everything clenched at the thought that soon she'd be so close to Max, even in a completely different capacity. "Nervous?" Elena asked quietly, leaning toward her. "A little," Anna admitted. "It'll be fine. Remember, you're here as a representative of headquarters. You have authority and you'll be respected. And if not, we'll remind them about chain of command." The car stopped at the entrance. The branch director, a short, balding man with shifty eyes, was already waiting for them on the steps. He looked worried, which wasn't surprising. Unscheduled inspections never boded well. "Elena, welcome," he said fussily, shaking her hand. "We weren't expecting—" "That's the whole point of an unscheduled inspection, Victor." She smiled coldly. "Allow me to introduce Anna Morrison, legal counsel from headquarters. She'll be checking documentation." The director's gaze slid over Anna with confusion, clearly not connecting her surname with one of his employees. Of course. We'll prepare everything necessary." They were shown to a conference room where folders of documents were already laid out. Elena gave a brief instruction, after which Anna and the security service employees got to work. She had to check supplier contracts, delivery receipts, and related documents for the past 6 months. The work required concentration, and for a while Anna forgot her fears, immersing herself in numbers and legal formulations. However, about an hour later, the conference room door burst open and Max appeared in the doorway. He looked disheveled and angry, tie askew, shirt wrinkled as if he'd slept in it. Dark circles under his eyes spoke of insomnia. Max's eyes feverishly searched the room until they stopped on Anna. "You," was all he could squeeze out. "Mr. Morrison," Elena said in an icy tone, rising from the table. "You weren't invited to this meeting. Return to your duties." Max didn't take his eyes off Anna. "What's going on?" His voice trembled with barely contained rage. "You decided to cause problems for me at work? The police wasn't enough?" One of the security employees, a tall man with military bearing, stepped forward. "Mr. Morrison, please leave the premises. This is an official inspection not related to your personal affairs." "Personal affairs?" Max laughed hysterically. "My wife ran away from home, filed a police report against me, and now she shows up here with an inspection? And you're saying it's not connected?" Anna looked at him, and a strange sensation filled her. Before, such a look from Max would have made her shrink with fear, start apologizing, beg forgiveness. Now she felt only calm and a little pity. "Mr. Morrison," she said, surprised at the firmness of her own voice, "I'm here on official business as legal counsel for Vector Plus Corporation." "Legal counsel?" He stared at her like she was a ghost. "You're a secretary at some small firm." "I never said that," Anna replied calmly. "You decided that yourself, and it was convenient for me not to correct you." Max's face contorted with anger. He stepped toward Anna, but the guard was instantly between them. "Mr. Morrison," Elena intervened again, "if you don't leave immediately, I'll be forced to call security and file a report about obstructing an inspection, which I'm afraid will look bad for your career." Max swept everyone with a heavy look, lingering on Anna. "You'll regret this," he hissed. "I swear, you'll regret this." With those words, he turned and left, slamming the door loudly. A tense silence hung in the conference room. "My apologies for that," Elena finally said. "Let's continue working." But Anna could no longer concentrate. Her hands trembled, letters blurred before her eyes. The image of Max, his face distorted with rage, stood before her eyes. "Anna," Elena said quietly, sitting next to her, "if you want, you can return to headquarters. We'll manage here." Anna took a deep breath. She wouldn't run. Not now. "I'm fine," she answered. "I'll continue working." Elena nodded approvingly. "Excellent. Then I suggest we take a short break and have coffee." The rest of the day passed in tense work. Anna methodically checked documents, making notes and compiling a list of violations. There turned out to be quite a few incorrectly executed contracts, missing records, strange discrepancies in figures, and most interestingly, many problems concerned the logistics department that Max headed. By 5 p.m., the inspection was complete. Elena gathered a final meeting attended by the Pale Branch director and department heads. Max wasn't among them. The inspection revealed serious violations in document flow and financial discipline, Elena reported coldly. Especially many questions about the logistics department. "Where, by the way, is Mr. Morrison?" He felt unwell and went home," the director mumbled. "A pity," Elena replied without a trace of regret. "In that case, tell him he's expected at headquarters tomorrow at 10 a.m. with a full report on the department's work for the past 6 months." After the meeting, they got in the car and headed back to the city center. Anna looked out the window at passing buildings, feeling a strange emptiness inside. She'd expected triumph, satisfaction that Max was finally getting what he deserved, but felt only fatigue. "You did good work today," Elena said, especially given the circumstances. "Thank you," Anna replied quietly. "What happens next? With the branch or with your husband?" "Both. The branch faces serious reorganization. As for your husband," Elena paused, "it depends on tomorrow's meeting and how involved he is in the violations discovered." Anna nodded. She felt no schadenfreude, only a desire for all this to finally end. "Don't worry," Elena added gently. "Justice will prevail. I'll see to it." That evening, back at Marina's, Anna sat on the balcony for a long time, watching the city sink into twilight. The phone was silent. No calls or messages from Max. This was more alarming than the flood of threats. "How was your day?" Marina asked, sitting beside her with a cup of tea. Anna told her about the inspection, Max's appearance, his reaction. "You know what's strangest?" she finished. "I'm not afraid of him anymore at all. Like something inside burned out." "That's a good sign," Marina smiled. "It means you're truly freeing yourself from him, not just physically, but emotionally." They sat a while longer, talking about future plans. Marina suggested going to the lake this weekend to get some fresh air and rest from everything that had happened. Anna gratefully agreed. Before bed, she checked her email and found a message from Elena, short and businesslike. "Anna, tomorrow at 9 a.m., I expect you in my office. We'll prepare for the meeting with Mr. Morrison. A.M." Anna put down her phone, feeling resolve building inside. Tomorrow would be an important day. The day when Max would see the real her, not a frightened wife, but a confident professional. And that would be the best revenge for all the humiliation. Friday morning was sunny and warm. Anna wore a strict dark blue business suit she hadn't worn in a long time. Max thought it made her look too official. She gathered her hair in a neat bun, applied light makeup. The bruise on her cheekbone had almost faded. Only slight yellowing remained that could be attributed to lighting. She arrived at the office earlier than usual. Elena was already waiting, reviewing documents. "Good morning, Anna." She looked up from papers. "Are you ready?" "Yes," Anna answered firmly. "Absolutely." They spent the next hour discussing strategy for the upcoming meeting. Elena showed Anna the results of the security service investigation. The situation was more serious than it initially seemed. Theft had flourished in the branch for years, with the logistics department playing a key role in the scheme. "The question is," Elena said, "how involved is your husband in these machinations? He could have been simply an incompetent manager who didn't notice violations. Or an active participant," Anna finished. "I don't know. He never talked about work in detail, only bragged about promotions and bonuses." "Well, today we'll find out everything." Elena checked her watch. Almost 10. "Let's go to the conference room." They went upstairs to the spacious meeting hall. The company's general director was already waiting there, along with the head of security and 2 lawyers from Anna's department. Everyone was serious and focused. "Mr. Morrison is waiting in the reception area," the secretary reported. "Shall I invite him in?" The general director, a heavy-set man with a piercing gaze, nodded. "Let's begin. Everyone ready?" Anna sat next to Elena, facing the entrance. Her heart beat steadily and calmly. No fear, only slight excitement before an important meeting, like before a university exam or difficult negotiations with a client. The door opened, and Max entered. He looked collected and confident, as if yesterday's hysteria hadn't happened. A folder of documents in his hands, a professional smile on his face, a smile that faltered and vanished when he saw Anna at the table. "Good morning, Mr. Morrison," the general director said dryly. "Please sit." Max slowly lowered himself into the chair opposite Anna, not taking his eyes off her. In them she read a mixture of emotions, anger, surprise, fear. But there was no longer that power he'd held over her before. The fear was gone, dissolved without a trace. "Yesterday, an unscheduled inspection was conducted at your branch," the director continued. "Serious violations were revealed, especially in the logistics department you manage. Security has prepared a report." He nodded at the thick folder before him. "The question is, what can you tell us about this?" Max straightened, smiled tensely. "Sir, I don't understand what violations you're talking about. My department has always operated in strict compliance with company regulations." "Really?" Elena opened her folder. "Then explain why supplier contracts with Alta Logistics systematically inflated delivery volumes by 15–20%. Why work completion certificates were backdated, and why financial reports show amounts not confirmed by primary documents." Max paled. He shot a quick glance at Anna, as if she were to blame for the exposure. It's a mistake. Accounting could have—" "Don't try to shift responsibility," the general director cut him off sharply. "All documents went through you. Your signature is on every certificate. The next half hour turned into a real interrogation. Max was bombarded with questions he had no convincing answers for. He stumbled, got confused, contradicted himself. With each minute, his confidence melted, sweat beading on his forehead. Anna silently observed, experiencing a strange sense of déjà vu. How many times had she herself sat like this before Max cornered, confused, trying to guess the right answer that would calm him? Only now the roles were reversed. "Mr. Morrison," Elena finally said, "the inspection materials will be submitted to law enforcement for legal assessment. Until the investigation concludes, you're suspended from duty. Security will escort you to surrender your pass and collect personal belongings." Max jumped up, knocking over his chair. "You can't do this. This is a conspiracy. It's all her." He jabbed his finger at Anna. "She's getting revenge for family quarrels." "Mr. Morrison," Elena said icily, "your behavior is unworthy of an employee of our company, much less a manager." Anna performed her official duties, as did all inspection participants. "Your personal problems don't interest us." "Lying bitch!" Max shouted, staring at Anna. "You set all this up. I'll destroy you." Two security employees quickly entered the hall. "Remove Mr. Morrison," the general director ordered, "and prepare a report on improper conduct. That will be attached to termination documents." Max was literally dragged from the conference room. He continued shouting and threatening, but his voice gradually faded in the corridor. Heavy silence hung in the hall. "I apologize for that scene," the general director finally said, addressing Anna. "Anna, if you have reason to fear this person—" "I have a police report," she said quietly, "about domestic violence." The director nodded grimly. "I see. Elena, make sure security is informed to no contact between this individual and Anna." "Of course, sir," Elena nodded. "I've already given the appropriate order." The meeting ended, and Anna left the hall with Elena. Her legs suddenly felt weak, her throat dry. "Are you all right?" her supervisor asked quietly. "Yes, it was just intense. I understand. But you handled yourself excellently, professionally, and with dignity." They reached Elena's office, and she offered Anna tea. While the kettle boiled, they silently looked out the window at the cityscape. "You know," Elena finally said, "when I left my husband, I had a similar situation. He also worked at the same company as me, though in a different department, and also lost his job due to his own stupidity." "What happened to him afterward?" Anna asked. "No idea." Elena shrugged. "That's no longer my story, and I wish the same for you. Leave all this in the past and move forward." Anna nodded. For the first time in a long while, she felt she could truly begin a new chapter of her life without fear, without constant guilt and inadequacy. Free. That evening, Anna received a message from Captain Sullivan. He reported that Max had been called in for additional questioning because of threatening messages he continued sending his wife, and that police would increase monitoring of the situation. Marina suggested celebrating Liberation Day and prepared a festive dinner. They drank wine, talked about the future, and for the first time in a long while, Anna laughed sincerely and from the heart. "To a new life." Marina raised her glass. "To a new life," Anna echoed. That night she had a strange dream. She stood on the edge of a cliff, the sea churning below. Behind her was a dark forest full of dangers. Ahead, the unknown. And she took a step forward, but didn't fall. Instead, she flew, free and light over the waves, toward the rising sun. Monday began with an unexpected call. Elena invited Anna to her office. "I have news for you," she said when Anna entered. "Your husband, now ex-husband, I presume, has been fired for cause. Materials have been submitted to police and combined with your domestic violence report. Given all circumstances, he faces not only administrative but also criminal liability." Anna slowly sank into a chair. "I didn't want this," she said quietly. "Didn't want him to." "Anna," Elena gently interrupted, "you're not responsible for his actions. Not for how he treated you, nor for stealing from the company. That was his choice, his responsibility. Don't take it on yourself." Anna nodded. Deep down, she understood her supervisor was right. Max had destroyed his own life through his cruelty, his greed, his inability to respect other people. "And one more thing," Elena continued. "I've been observing you for a long time. You're a true professional, and I want to offer you something." Spring slowly transitioned into summer. Trees covered themselves with thick greenery. Evenings grew longer and warmer. Anna observed these changes with a new, heightened perception, as if the world around her was becoming brighter and more vivid with each day of freedom. 3 weeks had passed since Max's firing. Anna had filed for divorce. The process promised to be quick, given all circumstances. The lawyer recommended by Elena assured her that with proven domestic violence and criminal charges for workplace theft, the court would be entirely on Anna's side. "The apartment will definitely stay with you," he said at their last consultation, "and probably compensation for emotional damages. We have a very strong position." Anna nodded. Strangely, thoughts about the material side of divorce concerned her least. The main thing was freeing herself from the toxic relationship, starting life with a clean slate. Money, property, all that seemed secondary. That evening, she sat in a cafe with Marina. Her friend had just returned from a business trip and was eager for news. "So what about your promotion?" Marina asked, stirring her cocktail. "You promised to tell." Anna smiled. 2 days ago, she'd had a conversation with Elena that changed her professional prospects. "They're promoting me," she said. "From July 1st, I'll head the legal department for branch relations. It's a new division they're creating after this whole situation with violations." "Wow," Marina whistled admiringly. "Congratulations. That's serious responsibility. And a much higher salary," Anna nodded. "Almost double my current one. I'll be able to rent a good apartment and stop imposing on you." "Come on, what imposing?" Marina waved her hand. "I like having you live with me, but I'm very happy for you. You earned this promotion." They sat quietly, enjoying the evening and pleasant music playing in the cafe. Anna watched the other patrons, couples in love, groups of friends, solitary customers with books or laptops. Ordinary people, ordinary life. That very normality she'd lacked so much in her marriage to Max. "And how is he?" Marina carefully asked. "Heard anything?" Anna shook her head. "Nothing concrete. Captain Sullivan called last week. Said the theft investigation is continuing. Max is currently under travel restrictions, and he moved in with his mother. Apparently short on rent money." "Good riddance," Marina snorted. "Mommy dearest will be thrilled to have her baby boy back." Anna couldn't help smiling, imagining how Nina was receiving her grown son back home. An authoritative, domineering woman, she'd always pressed her son, though around Anna she'd tried to appear a loving mother. Now Max would have to live under her wing again, and knowing his mother-in-law's character, it wouldn't be easy. "You know what's strangest?" Anna said thoughtfully. "I don't feel any schadenfreude. No satisfaction. No desire for revenge. Only relief that it's over." "That's normal," Marina nodded. "You're not a vindictive person, Anna. Never were, even after everything he did to you." At that moment, Anna's phone chimed with a notification. A message from an unknown number. "I saw you today near the office. You look happy. Enjoy it while you can. It won't last." Anna went pale. "What is it?" Marina asked worriedly, noticing her reaction. "Max?" "Yes," Anna said quietly, showing her phone. "New number. You need to tell Captain Sullivan," Marina said through clenched teeth. "This is direct violation of the no-contact order." Anna nodded and took a screenshot. Her hands trembled slightly, but inside there wasn't the old paralyzing fear, only determination to protect herself and her new life. "I'll send this tomorrow morning," she said, putting away her phone. "Right now, let's not let him ruin our evening." They finished their cocktails and left the cafe. The summer evening was warm and gentle. First stars were appearing in the sky. Anna breathed deeply, enjoying the scent of blooming lindens and the feeling of freedom. She was no longer trapped in her own life. A few days later, the first court hearing for divorce proceedings took place. Anna was nervous, expecting to see Max, but he didn't appear. Instead, a lawyer came, a young, self-assured man in an expensive suit. My client disputes all allegations of domestic violence, he declared, standing before the judge, and considers the plaintiff's demands for transfer of the apartment unfounded. Property acquired during marriage should be divided equally. Anna's lawyer, an experienced gray-haired attorney with a sharp gaze, calmly rose from his seat. Your Honor, we have full evidence of systematic domestic violence, he said. Medical examination conclusions, photographs of injuries, witness testimony. Furthermore, criminal charges have been filed against the defendant for workplace theft, which also affects his good faith as a spouse. Under these circumstances, my client's demand for apartment transfer is fully justified. The judge, a middle-aged woman with a tired but attentive gaze, studied the submitted documents. The court takes into account all case materials, she said, considering the special circumstances and the plaintiff's interests, and taking into account the fact of domestic violence, which I consider proven, I order. The marriage dissolved, the apartment transferred to the plaintiff's ownership. The defendant must pay compensation for emotional damages in the amount of $50,000. Anna sat not believing her ears. Everything had ended so quickly and unequivocally in her favor. Max's lawyer tried to object, but the judge was firm. The decision will be appealed, he said, gathering papers. That's his right, Anna's lawyer replied calmly, but the result will be the same. We have too strong an evidentiary basis. After the hearing, Anna left the courthouse feeling as if an enormous burden had fallen from her shoulders. She was officially free from Max. The apartment remained hers. The new life was becoming more and more real. What now? She asked her lawyer, shaking his hand goodbye. Now we wait for the decision to take legal effect, he answered. I think your ex-husband will file an appeal, but he has virtually no chance. At most, he'll drag out the process a couple months. Then you can return to your apartment as the rightful owner. Anna nodded. The thought of returning to the apartment where so much bad had happened wasn't the most pleasant, but she understood it was a valuable asset she'd be foolish to refuse. After all, she could always renovate, change furniture, create a new atmosphere, or sell it and buy different housing. That evening, she shared the news with Elena, with whom she'd recently grown close not only professionally but personally. Congratulations, Elena said when they met at a small restaurant near the office. The first important step is taken. How do you feel? Strange, Anna admitted. Like I woke from a long nightmare and don't quite understand what to do with this new reality. That's normal. Elena nodded understandingly. When a person lives in captivity for a long time, freedom can be frightening. Too many possibilities. Too much responsibility for your own decisions. Exactly. Anna smiled gratefully. You understand so well. I went through it, remember? Elena sipped from her glass. And I'll tell you, it gets easier with time. You'll learn to trust yourself, your decisions, and understand what you need from life, not what others imposed on you. They talked more about work, plans for reorganizing the legal department, Anna's upcoming promotion. Then the conversation returned to personal topics. Have you thought about starting a relationship again sometime in the future? Elena asked. Anna pondered. That question hadn't yet arisen in her mind. The wounds were too fresh. Too much energy went into restoring herself. Honestly, not yet, she answered. Right now, I just want to be myself, understand who I am without pressure and control, learn to live for myself. A wise decision. Elena nodded approvingly. Don't rush. You have your whole life ahead. June turned out hot. Anna immersed herself in work, preparing for her new position, studying regulations, getting to know branch employees, drawing up reorganization plans. Evenings she walked with Marina, sometimes met with other friends she'd begun reconnecting with after a long break. Max no longer bothered her. Captain Sullivan kept his word and had a serious talk with him after that cafe message. The threat of arrest for violating the restraining order apparently had a sobering effect. At the end of the month, the court rejected Max's appeal, and the divorce and property division decision took legal effect. Anna received all documents and apartment keys that had been stored with her lawyer. Congratulations, he said, shaking her hand. Now you're officially free from both the marriage and joint property. Live peacefully. That same day, Anna went to inspect the apartment. The key turned in the lock with a quiet click. The door opened. Inside, everything looked the same as the day she'd left: neat, clean, impersonal. Standard renovation in pastel tones, minimalist furniture, no unnecessary details. Max didn't like clutter, as he called any personal items and decorations. Anna slowly walked through the rooms, opening windows, letting in fresh air and sunlight. She checked closets, nightstands, shelves. None of Max's belongings remained. Apparently he'd taken them when he moved to his mother's. In the bedroom, she looked under the bed and discovered a small box. Inside lay her personal trinkets: a bracelet her parents had given her for her 18th birthday, photos from college years, old cards from friends, things Max considered unnecessary and that she'd hidden to avoid triggering his irritation. Anna sat on the bed, examining these treasures from her past. Here she was with her parents at the beach, happy, tanned, eyes sparkling. Here with university friends at graduation. Here on her first day of work, an excited newcomer with a folder of documents. Who was that girl? Where had her dreams gone? Her energy? Her joy in life? Max hadn't just beaten her body. He'd methodically destroyed her identity, her self-worth, her right to be herself. Never again, Anna told herself firmly, carefully putting the photos back in the box. No one will ever control my life again. She surveyed the bedroom with a critical eye. This bed, where she'd cried so many times from pain and humiliation. These walls that had absorbed so much fear and despair. No, she couldn't live here, at least not now. The decision came instantly. Anna took out her phone and called a realtor recommended at work. "Good afternoon," she said when he answered. "I'd like to rent out an apartment and look at options for buying a new one, small, but in a good neighborhood." July 1st was sunny and hot. Anna entered Vector Plus headquarters with a special feeling. Today was her first working day in the new position. Employees greeted her with respect. Curiosity showed in some eyes. The story with Max hadn't remained completely secret, though officially no one commented on what had happened. Elena personally introduced Anna to the team of lawyers, who now became her subordinates. Anna was nervous, but tried not to show it. She spoke clearly and confidently, outlined plans, answered questions, and gradually felt the nervousness receding, yielding to professional confidence. After lunch, the realtor called. "Anna, there are already several interested parties for your apartment," he reported. "And I've selected 3 purchase options that might interest you. When's convenient to look?" "Tonight, if possible," Anna answered. "I'll be free around 6. "Excellent. I'll wait for you at the first property at 6:30. That evening, inspecting a bright, cozy apartment in a modern residential complex with a park view, Anna felt warmth spreading inside. This place had nothing in common with her old apartment, neither in layout nor atmosphere. Everything here breathed newness, possibilities, freedom. "I'll take it," she said decisively, not even listening to all the advantages the realtor was listing. "Prepare the documents." He raised his eyebrows in surprise. Usually, clients thought longer about such a serious purchase, but something in Anna's face convinced him not to ask unnecessary questions. "As you say, Anna. I'll prepare everything tomorrow." Leaving the future apartment, Anna breathed deeply of the evening air. The city hummed around her. People hurried from work. Children played on the playground. Young couples strolled hand in hand. Ordinary, normal life. And now she was part of it too. August proved hectic. Anna dealt with furnishing the new apartment while immersing herself in work at the new position, selecting furniture, textiles, dishes, everything that makes a house truly one's own. Every purchased item was a small victory, a step toward creating her own space, reflecting her tastes and desires, not the demands of a tyrant husband. At the end of the month, she threw a housewarming party for friends. Marina came with her husband, a couple colleagues from work, neighbor Vera, with whom Anna maintained warm relations, and even Elena, a rare case when the supervisor agreed to an informal event. The apartment filled with laughter, conversation, clinking glasses. Anna discovered with surprise that she could be a good hostess. create an atmosphere of comfort and fun, something Max had always denied in her, calling her incapable of properly receiving guests. "Beautiful apartment," Elena said when they found themselves alone on the balcony for a moment. "Light, like you." "Thank you," Anna smiled. "You know, this is the first place where I feel at home." "Truly home. I understand." Elena nodded. "When you create a space just for yourself, put your soul into it, it's a special feeling." They were silent, looking at the city spread out below. "How are things with your ex?" Elena finally asked. "Any news?" "Not really," Anna shrugged. "The theft investigation continues. Captain Sullivan says Max is trying to shift all blame onto the branch director, but there's too much evidence against him personally." "Typical behavior for such people," Elena remarked. "Always looking for someone to blame, never admitting their own responsibility." Anna nodded. This trait of Max's was well known to her. All problems in their marriage, in his opinion, arose exclusively from her wrong behavior. "And personally," Elena continued, "he's not bothering you anymore." "No," Anna shook her head. "Since Captain Sullivan threatened him with arrest, no calls, no messages. He hasn't even tried to find out where I'm living." "That's good." Elena finished her wine. "But still be careful. Such people can lie low for a while then. But I don't want to darken your celebration. Let's go back to the others." The evening continued, full of warmth and friendly communication. When guests left, Anna stood on the balcony for a long time, looking at the night city. Inside was calm and light, like after a long illness when recovery comes. In September, returning from work, Anna noticed a familiar figure near the supermarket not far from her new home. Max was hauling boxes of goods. His once perfect shirt had been replaced by a worker's uniform. Hair had grown out and looked unkempt. Anna slowed her pace, not knowing what to do. Leave unnoticed, or walk by, showing she wasn't afraid of the encounter? The decision came on its own. She continued walking at her normal pace, right past the supermarket. Max noticed her when she was quite close. He froze, holding a box of goods, staring as if at a ghost. Their eyes met. In his, Anna saw a mixture of emotions, anger, shame, bitterness. But there was no longer that power he'd held over her before. The fear was gone, dissolved without trace. Max lowered his eyes and turned away, pretending not to recognize her. Anna walked past, feeling strange calm. This was victory, quiet but significant. Victory over her own past. That evening, sitting with tea on the balcony, she reflected on the encounter. Max looked aged, lost. His life had collapsed. Job loss, criminal case, divorce, necessity of returning to his mother, working as a loader. But Anna felt no schadenfreude, only understanding that everyone gets what they deserve. And freedom from violence isn't revenge, but restoration of justice. A year later, Anna sat in Elena's office discussing another project. During this time, she'd fully mastered the new position, earned respect from subordinates and management. Her department worked like clockwork, preventing violations in branches and ensuring the company's legal security. "I have news for you, Anna," Elena said when they'd finished with work matters. "You're being recommended for Deputy Director of Legal Affairs position at our street, Louis Branch. It's a serious promotion." Anna froze, digesting the information. "This is unexpected," she finally said. "I don't know what to say." "Don't rush with an answer," Elena smiled. "You have time to think, but I believe you're ready for this step. Over the past year, you've proven yourself an excellent manager and high-class professional. Thank you for the trust," Anna said sincerely. "I'll seriously consider this offer." That evening, sitting in her cozy apartment, she pondered the possible move. Street Louis, a new city, new opportunities, a new page of life. It was scary, but this was a different fear, not the paralyzing terror of a victim, but the exciting anticipation of new horizons. Anna went to the window and looked at the evening city. How much had changed over this year. She'd grown professionally, restored old friendships and gained new ones, learned to live alone and enjoy it. Gradually, the nightmares faded nightmares, where Max burst into her home and punished her for betrayal. Less often she looked over her shoulder on the street, fearing to see his pursuing figure. In October, the court sentenced Max on the theft charges. He received a suspended sentence and obligation to pay the company substantial compensation. He'd hardly be able to pay it off working as a loader. But that was no longer her problem. Anna took a deep breath and smiled at her reflection in the window. She'd survived. Not just survived, won. And now the whole world of possibilities lay before her. Street Lewis, she thought. Why not? The next day, Anna entered Elena's office with a determined expression. I agree, she said.